Hey guys, Will here, welcome to another battle report. Tonight I'm trying out my Eldar with my new list against Jason and his Orks. We've rolled up Spoils of War, the mission where you can capture each other's score objective X objectives, and this is an 1850 battle. Jason got to deploy first, and he has got this huge Ork army. Hundreds of boys, interspersed with knobs, pain boys, and all these mech guns here are counting as cannons. So there's a lot of strength 8 there, and just a huge quantity of infantry. There's his war boss in mega armour, more cannons, and then in reserve he's got one of his flyers. It's a Jet. Yeah, so you've got a Jet in reserves, and that army's taking up most of that side of the table. Down here, we've got the Eldar. We've got one unit of jet bikes with scatter lasers over in that corner, guarding the all-important can of Coke. And then this Falcon here, Wave Serpent, has got my new Wraithguard unit and my Spirit Seer in there. I've got my Dire Avengers, my jet bikes with my Farseer, Dark Reapers ready to move up onto the rocks, Falcon with the Fire Dragons, not that they're expecting to do much today against this completely tankless list, another Wave Serpent with Dire Avengers, more jet bikes, my Swooping Hawks here ready to sky leap on turn 1, got my Warp Spiders in reserves, and I've tried to go as far back as possible to take advantage of my range versus this vast number of Orks. I have got a little bit of a trick up my sleeve for the Farseer. He's rolled up Eldritch Storm, which will be fun to drop down on the Orks. But now we're going to see if I can steal the initiative.
So you can only actually kill 3 of them.
No, it's a 2. Ork turn 1. So, in Ork turn 1, as predicted, all the boys moved up and ran. This big green tide surging towards my lines. Key movements were the Deathcopters cutting across behind these woods. And yeah, that was about it for movement. Shooting wise, that group of cannons and that group of cannons both shot for the Wave Serpent here, took 2 hull points and left it shaken. And then the third group of cannons shot for the Falcon, stunned it and left it on a single hull point. As for objectives, all the Orks scored was secure objective 4, because where it was they pretty much couldn't fail to capture that. With his Warlord trait, it means he's still holding on to 3 objectives. Let's see how things go in Eldar, turn 1. So yeah, most of the Eldar backline just shimmied around a bit this turn and fired into the closest Ork mobs. The Avengers moved up but weren't quite close enough. But that's alright, because to be honest, if those Orks get too close, they've got a potentially very long charge range if they call a war. The Farseer was a big contributor, shooting forward to about here before unleashing an Eldritch Storm that forced 2 of the boys' mobs to take pinning tests and killed a good chunk of boys. This Wave Serpent moved up, killed a few more. Jet bikes shot for the Deathcopters and left just 1 alive on 1 wound, and really that was about it. Oh, the Dark Reapers fired their Starshot missiles at the cannons and killed 1. So a slightly uneventful first turn. As for objectives, I scored Harness the Warp for cast Psychic Power, but didn't manage to kill any whole units, so it's no Assassinate and no Combined Strike. And I'm going to hold on to those. End of the turn, all the Eldar units shot back behind cover where they could. But let's see what happens in Ork turn 2. Jay, I think you've got a flyer to bring on, haven't you? Want to roll reserve? It's a 6. Jet coming onto Ork turn 2. So, Ork turn 2, the Orks continued to surge forward across the battlefield. Jet came on and targeted the Dark Reapers, but thanks to a rather lucky bout of saves with my Shimmer Shield, only actually killed 2 of them. But then this battery of cannons opened up with frag missiles, took down another 3, but they passed the leadership. Another block of cannons over here fired into the Wave Serpent, finally took off its last hull point, scoring the Orks a surprising first blood there, and the Wraithguard are now out and ready to fight. This block of cannons on this hill fired at the Falcon, and it passed its Jinx save, so Snapshot's only next turn, but at least it's not wrecked. And yeah, the Orks were then able to pull off a charge because his formation bonus allows him to war every turn. And so these boys duly warred and charged into the Wave Serpent, wrecked it, but the Avengers passed the leadership test and are out and looking for vengeance. So, end of that turn, Jay scored a point for Smash 'em Boys, which is like an Orc equivalent of Blood and Guts, kill something in combat, and discarded kill a Psyker. Despite me having Psykers, they're going to be hard for him to get to. And he's holding on to secure objective 3, which he can't discard, which is right down here, so it looks like I'll be claiming that at the end of my turn. But let's see if the Eldar reserves turn on. Swooping Hawks are in ongoing reserves, having Sky Leaped last turn, so just the Warp Spiders to roll for. Yep, they're on to Eldar, turn 2. So Eldar turn 2 started with the Warp Spiders showing up at the back there, almost scattered into the Grot Cannons, but managed to just miss them and then kill one cannon and a few grots in the shooting phase before jumping back to try and get a little bit further away from these boys. Falcon, which couldn't shoot normally anyway, just shot forward and fired its Bright Lance and Shuriken, Bright Lance and Pulse Laser up at the flyer, because it was snap firing anyway, might as well shoot a flyer, but missed that. Dark Reapers had a little bit better luck, moved up onto the rocks and shot the Dakka Jet, left it shaken, so it's only snap firing next turn. These guys down here, the Dire Avengers, moved away from the wreck tank, and along with this group of jet bikes fired at that mob of boys, killed most of the squad, and they're now running away. Psychic phase for the Farseer was a little uneventful. He managed to failed to cast Eldritch Storm despite a reroll, and failed to cast Guide. But over here, the Spirit Seer did manage to cast Restrain on the Orc unit here, which would have prevented them from running. And then Jay pointed out there's a Mega War Boss in there anyway, they can't run anyway. So, yeah, complete waste of my Psychic phase there. My Wraith Guard had moved up to try and get cover, and then one managed to fail a dangerous terrain test and an armour save for moving over the Falcon. So, not a great game for them, and they had pretty poor rolls to hit and only killed one of the Orcs. You know, despite firing 4D weapons at them, I killed one Orc. Swooping Hawks and jet bikes had a bit of better time of things. Hawks popped down about here and popped off their grenade packs and then their las blasters at these boys, thin out their numbers a bit, although the presence of the Pain Boy there meant it wasn't as bad as it could have been, and then we jumped back to get out of the way. Jet bikes fired at the War Boss's mob, and there were 10 more guys here before the jet bikes fired. That was a nice chunk taken out of that squad. And yeah, these guys and the jet bikes thinned out the numbers here. So I'm actually yet to wipe out a whole unit in this army. Jay still has every unit he started with, even if some of them are a little bit reduced. Points-wise, I scored Assassinate for killing the Knob in one of the mobs, so that's another point, and I scored Objective 3, which Jay was holding, so there we go, that's a couple of points. I think the Eldar might just have a narrow lead, but there's still way too many Orcs here as we head into Orc Turn 3. Turn 3, and the Eldar are feeling somewhat overrun by the Orcs. Over on this flank, these two boys' mobs moved up, but were out of range to do anything. Actually lost one to Overwatch when they tried to charge Swooping Hawks. And I lost a bike to the fire of those cannons over there. Luckily I jinked, which saved one of the shots, but one's wounded, and they're only snap firing next turn. Over here, these cannons fired frag rounds into the Dark Reapers and killed 3 of them, but they passed the leadership test, 2 left alive there. The other block of cannons fired into the Falcon and failed to wreck it, but then the boys charged in and wiped it out. Fire Dragons got out, passed their leadership test, so at least I haven't got that to deal with. Dakka Jet fired at the Dire Avengers, did 5 wounds on them, but then with some amazing Shimmer Shield shaves, I managed to only lose one of them, so good work there. Other combats included these guys charging the remainder of these Dire Avengers. Killed a couple but got wiped out. And over here these guys made it into the Wraith Guard. Killed all the Wraith Guard for 2 Orcs dead in return, and the Spirit Seer is now legging it, at least, though that leaves him free to target these guys next turn. So in terms of killing stuff, the Orcs are overwhelming the Eldar, but points wise it's still pretty close. I'm on 3 points, and Jay scored another one that turn, which brings him up to 3 regular and Slay the Warlord. First Blood, yeah, not Slay the Warlord, First Blood. So he's holding more Daka, which is killer unit with shooting, and Secure Objective 3, which is down here. So I'm going to steal that next turn. I'm holding no prisoners and Combined Strike. I really need to start killing some Orcs, and my extra card this turn, Skyborne Assault, kill something with a jet bike. So with that up and running, let's go on to Eldar turn 3. So this turn Eldar had great cards. Kill something, kill something, kill something with the jet bike, and Jay was holding Secure Ob 3. So Ob 3 was down here, secured it with the jet bike. I then wiped out these guys here from the combined fire of these 2 jet bike units and the Farseer's psychic powers. And then the Dire Avengers, Fire Dragons and Dark Reapers almost wiped out that boy's mob and left the knob running for his life. Warp Spiders popped another few wounds onto those cannons, so he's down to just 2 cannons left there now. And what else happened? Oh yeah, the Swooping Hawks Sky Leap to get out of the way. And these bikes had to snap fire, tried to shoot at the knobs in the back line there, killed 1. But yeah, a little bit boxed in here. And these guys' shoot and scoot moves weren't really far enough, and that war boss is bearing down at me. But points-wise, not too bad. Scored 4 points that turn. It brings it up to 7-4. And yeah, let's go on to Orc turn 4. Right, so end of the previous turn we forgot to do a leadership test for the cannons up on the hill. They promptly failed that and ran clean off the board. Then for Jay's turn 4 he had Psychological Warfare, Secure Objective 4 and blow up a vehicle or monster. Obviously he wasn't going to do that because all my vehicles were already wrecked, but yeah, the Orcs were really bearing down on us. So the Grots got just close enough to secure Ob 4, that's all dealt with. The cannons over here this group of cannons tried to fire at the Warp Spiders. We flicker jumped behind the hill to give us a save, and then the cannons only scored 1 wound anyway, so just 1 Warp Spider down. And down here was where the main action was. All of these Orcs hit combat. These boys into the jet bikes, wiped them out for nothing in return. These boys into the Spirit Seer, wiped him out for nothing in return. The War Boss's mob into the Farseer's jet bikes, wiped them out for 1 wound on the knob in return. And these Orcs got into combat with the Fire Dragons, 2 dead Orcs to 1 dead Fire Dragon, but the Orcs passed the leadership. So yeah, really swept away a big portion of the Eldar army there. But points-wise, all that got him that turn was Secure Objective 4. He really hasn't had the cards to suit the Orcs this game, unfortunately. So although they are by far and away winning on kills, I think we are just about still ahead with the Eldar here. But let's see if we can capitalise on that as we go into Eldar turn 4. So the Eldar's objectives this turn: hold the line was never going to happen unless I killed all the Orcs in my deployment zone. So I went for Secure Objective 4 and Secure Objective 1. Now both of these were on the far side of the board, but if someone can score far side objectives, it's Eldar. The Warp Spiders hopped over the hill, blasted the Grots ran off. That Orc standing there is falling back, so he can't contest it, so they've got Objective 4 secured. These jet bikes use their 36-inch turbo boost move and the fact they're OBSEC to secure Objective 1, so that's another 2 for the Eldar. Down here, the Dire Avengers and the jet bikes fired into the War Boss's mob, took a big chunk off the front of it and put 2 wounds on the boss himself, but they passed their leadership. The Dark Reapers shot down the remaining Deathcopter, and the Swooping Hawks dropped back down here and cut an absolute massacre on the back half of this boys mob, but they unfortunately for me passed their leadership. So things are looking a little bit better for the Eldar now. That got me another 2 points, so I'm going to discard hold the line. This means that right now I have got, let me see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 objectives to the Orks. How many you got over there, Jay? 4. So 5 because he's got First Blood, and 6 for Warlord. So yeah, Eldar got a narrow lead, but we're going into Ork turn 5. Ork turn 5 saw a continued surge. These boys charged up into the Dark Reapers, wiped them out. Warboss's squad charged the Dire Avengers. Overwatch was quite punishing actually, and even managed to kill one in combat and hold the Warboss to a stalemate in a challenge, thanks to my Exarch's Battle Fate power. So that's led to the Dire Avengers holding their ground there. Over here, these Orks tried to charge at the Swooping Hawks, but I killed just enough on Overwatch to make the charge fail. And over here, the rockets fired at the Warp Spiders, who flicker jumped behind there. Lost one who was caught out in the open, but another one passed his cover save. Then the Nob's mob charged into the remaining jet bikes and wiped them out. And the Dakka Jet, what did the Dakka Jet do? Oh yeah, that killed off the bikes with the help of the second volley of cannon fire. So yeah, things are looking pretty bleak numbers-wise for the Eldar. Jay got 2 more points for issuing a challenge and securing Objective 1. So it's coming close, but as we head into what could be the final turn, let's see if the Eldar can salvage something from this. Okay, so end of the Eldar turn, and I had a few little objectives: behind enemy lines, big game hunter, and hungry for glory. So for big game hunter I had to bring down the Dakka Jet. Warp Spiders had a good crack at it, but unfortunately only did 1 hull point and left it shaken. They then jumped back into the deployment zone for behind enemy lines. Swooping Hawks had their eyes on hungry for glory. The thinking was if I killed enough of the boys I could get the Exarch into a challenge with the Nob and survive it, but unfortunately the boys lost too many, the Nob died and they ran away, so the Hawks weren't able to do what they wanted to do, but hey, that's still some kills there. And then over this side things didn't go so well. The Warboss continued to chew through, or his mob continued to chew through the Dire Avengers, while the Warboss just completely failed to hurt the Exarch thanks to his Battle Fate. And then the Fire Dragons actually finished off the boys in combat, so not bad there. Another point for me for the behind enemy lines that turn, but I'm really running out of warriors, so if you would like to do the honours and roll to see if we get a 6th turn. It's a 4, turn 6, here we go. So the Orks continued to mulch through my army here. This turn the Fire Dragons are now tied up, although only lost 1, and the Avengers are down to just the Exarch only. He's stuck in this challenge with the Warboss, and the Warboss hasn't been able to get through my invuln save, so yeah, he's doing alright, but only serving to delay the Orks rather than truly damage them. Other than that, the cannons all shot for my Warp Spiders, and Flicker Jump finally didn't save them. Went behind the hill to get a cover save, still failed my saves, they're dead. That scored him Assassinate. He also had Ascendancy for D3 and behind enemy lines for 1, so that is 5 points to the Orks as we head into Eldar turn 6. So this turn, the extra Eldar objective was Legacy of Sorrows, kill a character. Best chance I had of that, with all the characters being down here, was in combat with his Warboss. Unfortunately, the Dire Avenger Exarch just couldn't penetrate the armour, and the Warboss finally killed him, so that's failed. This big mob wiped out the Fire Dragons, and my 1 surviving unit, the Swooping Hawks, are hiding out over here. If I can last to the end of the game, there is a chance I might win this. But this could be the end of things. End of this turn, roll to see if we carry on. Yep, turn 7, here we go. With only one target left on the turn, left on the board, the Orc turn was pretty swift. These squads moved up to make sure they were capturing 2 separate objectives, and these guys moved around there to get towards that one. And over here, the Dakajet moved up and shot the swooping hawks, killed all bar the Exarch. So yeah, that was about it. He's got supremacy that turn for another 2 points, and as we head into the Eldar turn, it looks like it could be all over. My one surviving model this turn, Swooping Hawk Exarch, went to grab Big Game Hunter. How's he going to do that, you ask? Interceptor. He is able to jump over a flyer, such as that Dakajet, and has a 50-50 chance of dropping a haywire grenade on it, which he did, taking the last hull point and scoring me Big Game Hunter. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to pull back the win. Ended with 16-10 to the favour of the Orcs. It was really close for most of the game, but right at the end there, Jay had a couple of high-scoring objectives, and yeah, the sheer resilience of the Orcs compared to the Eldar just meant that there wasn't really anything we could do at the end. But hey, good fun game. Nice to try out my Hawks, and as I Orcs in a kind of horde like that have always been my bogey list. I've never beaten 200 or so Orc type lists, so yeah, good fun test out for the Eldar, but alas, defeat. And there we go, an Orc victory. Not what some of you might have been expecting with the reputations of the respective codexes, and it was my first loss with the Eldar, but well played to Jay. You know, it's a straightforward strategy, but it worked really well, very well executed. 15 big guns and everything else practically thrown into boys, with a few little exceptions to fill out the list. Like I said in the video, the sort of horde Orc list have always been a list I've had trouble against. You feel like you're getting somewhere, you're killing loads of them, but no matter how many you kill, there's always more, and they come back, bite you in the arse. And yeah, that's really what happened to the Eldar. We thought we were doing pretty well, but over time just got boxed back into the corner as we tried to retreat more and more out of the Orcs' assault range. We just found ourselves on the back line with nowhere to go. And I say that list of that many Orcs is just a really powerful thing that I've never quite been able to crack through. Was disappointed that I didn't get to see the best of my Wraith Guard and my Spirit Seer in that list. Unfortunately, I didn't really have a good target for the D-weapons. The cannons were too far back for me to get to without wading through all those boys, and there was no tanks or anything for me to aim my D-weapons at, and the one chance my Spirit Seer got to cast one of his powers, unfortunately I cast it on a unit that it ended up having no effect on, so that was a mistake on my part there. But I certainly feel like I've learned a little bit more about the strengths and weaknesses of the Eldar army. I think if we'd have called that on turn 5, or the dice had gone another way on turn 5, we'd have had it as a draw, possibly a very narrow win to either side. I can't quite remember, but as the game went on, we just got worn down, and the resilience of the Orcs was able to drive home what in the end was a really big victory for Jay. I think it was something like 19-9 or something crazy like that. So yeah, that's just the way it goes. One thing I would say is, because I'm sure someone will comment, yeah, we did work out after the game his army wasn't strictly a bound army. He was taking the Orc Horde detachment, which is the 6 boys, unit of Grots, and then the support characters and a unit of Knobs, and he had just added on individual models to that rather than taking it as a second combined arms detachment to get the other things in. Now that, I'm not saying that as an excuse. I think if he had adjusted the list accordingly, or not had the formation bonuses, I think he'd have still got me. Although certainly the being able to war, so run and charge every turn, was a big factor for him. But I don't think that affected the overall outcome. And yeah, it's just the way it goes. Certainly a good learning opportunity for my Eldar. So thanks a lot for watching, and stay tuned for more battle reports.